Your mindset game is on point. You're doing a great job of staying in a high vibe state for at least most of your day, and things are really starting to shift for you. Then suddenly you find yourself having all these sudden doubts and negativity and worry and fear and stuff that just keeps floating around, and you're like, where the crap did this come from and what do I do with it? And so maybe you start saying, no, that's not true, no, that's not true, no, that's not true, to yourself internally. And afterwards you feel exhausted, plus those negative thoughts are still circling around in there and you can't figure out how to make it go away, no matter how much meditation or affirmations or positive mindset stuff that you're doing. What gives? Well, if you've had that experience, I've got some important and very powerful wisdom for you today, my friends. So come on with me. Let's dig into the soil of this together. Welcome to you once again. My name is D. Grant Smith. I'm the growth farmer for personal development through the lens boom, boom, of storytelling and spirituality. And here on this channel, we talk about a variety of different things that pertain to personal development and to spirituality. And go through the channel, see what's here, especially if you are a deep thinker, you enjoy exploring some of the deeper concepts of teachers like Neville Goddard, Wayne Dyer, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and others, because that's what I have a lot of material here for, including how to dig into some of the entertainment avenues that are all around us to see how some of these spiritual truths and spiritual teachings are actually being presented to us in places like film, music, books, and other places. And if you want more from me, you can simply go to growthfarming.com. I have a incredible selection of short fiction novels that dive into everything that we talk about here, as well as some nonfiction, self-help, personal development, spirituality books, and courses and resources, and a whole lot more. Okay, so with that, let's dig into this principle of what we do when we have unexpected negative thoughts that just don't seem to go away, especially when, for the most part, we're doing a great job of using affirmations and meditation and positive mindset to stay out of that negative headspace. I want to use a metaphor to describe what this is like. What if those negative thoughts, those sudden doubts, fears, worries, what if we looked at it kind of like the paparazzi? So here's where we're going with this. We're going about our day, or you're going about your day, and once again, these little negative thoughts start circling around in your head. Maybe you try to go in a, okay, I'm gonna affirm that this is not true. I'm gonna meditate that I'm gonna get into a more calm, peaceful state. Maybe that works. But if you try to mitigate this situation by individually focusing on each one of those negative thoughts, and what I've done in the past with myself is like ho'oponoponoing the individual thoughts and just trying to basically John Wick headshot them out of existence. And it has felt exhausting. Also, what's happened in my journey, maybe this is true for you too, as I'm individually going and trying to take out these negative thoughts, these fears, these doubts, these worries, or whatever, more and more and more seem to be coming. So here's what we're going to get into as it pertains to the metaphor of the paparazzi. As we become more and more aware of our subconscious beliefs, especially the negative ones and the limitations, trying to go about this process of taking them out individually, or saying, okay, well, what is this connected to? What is that connected to? How does this work? Becomes a very grinding, exhausting process. So what does it actually take for us to get rid of these negative thoughts, these sudden thoughts of worry, these sudden feelings of doubt and insecurity and fear, or whatever else it might be? How can we take care of this stuff without burying ourselves in this giant cacophony of pessimism, or that negativity just cycling around in our minds endlessly? Let's go back to that metaphor of the paparazzi. Now, I've got an actor in mind that I'm going to use for this metaphoric example. You can put any actor or actress or famous person into this scenario for yourself, and it all ends up being the exact same thing. So if we look at this from the perspective of a famous actor, how do they treat the paparazzi when they're in some sort of public place and suddenly they're seen by all those folks with the cameras and they rush over and they start asking them a bunch of questions and snapping a bunch of photos? Do they stand there and do they engage with the paparazzi? Well, most of the time, at least the savvy actors and actresses that don't want to be bothered by their um, intrusion, they don't pay them any mind. I'm thinking of somebody like, I don't know, Leonardo DiCaprio, for instance. We very rarely see him on the cover of those magazines that are right next to the checkout counter at the grocery store. Now, why is that? Is it because he's got his whole life figured out and everything's just going super well for him? He stays out of scandal and all those things? Or is it possibly because he doesn't engage with the drama train that is the paparazzi? Because when the paparazzi shows up, they're not just taking photos, they're asking questions, and they're asking intrusive questions. Questions about these actors and actresses' personal lives, who they might happen to be hanging out with in the moment. And then they take whatever it is that they can gain, if they can gain anything, and they take it to the tabloids, to the gossip columns, to all those magazines I mentioned a minute ago. And it creates this negative cycle over and over and over again. And then people engaging in that and seeing that and repeating it over and over again, the consciousness of our collective, that cycle repeats over and over again. Here's something to think about. And if you're somebody that reads People magazine or any of those magazines that's at the checkout counter at your grocery store or anywhere else, this is not a judgment against you, but recognize that all of that stuff, all the tabloids, all those magazines, none of them really ever tell positive stories. They're not designed to showcase the good that's going on in these people's lives. What sells is drama. What sells is negativity. What sells is people's lives falling apart and them having issues and all of that stuff. Because there's a part of our consciousness that's actually drawn to these things. And so if we engage in that with what we're looking at, whether that's a magazine or something on social media or anywhere else, what we're doing is we are giving this energy. And then that energy is being amplified. So no matter what your affirmation practice is, no matter what your self-love practice is, if you are engaging in things that are really more drama-centered, more focused on the problems in other people's lives or problems in the world, you are actually absorbing a lot of that energy. And then some of those limiting beliefs, doubts, worries, fears, that's going to come up to the surface. And it's going to cycle around over and over and over again in your head. The paparazzi, the mental paparazzi, they're in the negative belief business too. What all of this stuff can do is it can create tension inside of us because we are giving attention to something that isn't serving us. Our negative thoughts, fears, doubts, worries, whatever you give attention to them, like the paparazzi, they're going to keep flashing the cameras. They're going to keep showing things and feelings and past experiences and all kinds of stuff to you over and over and over again to take more and more of your attention and your focus. Because where focus goes, energy flows. So trying to be an assassin of your negative thoughts, trying to pick them off, once again, John Wick style, one by one, is engaging with them. And that's leading to more frustration and more annoyance. And again, I'm speaking from experience here because I spent a long time trying to individually go about taking out negative thoughts, and it exhausted the crap out of me. Not only that, it was like I opened the floodgates for every terrible fear-based thought or underlying piece of my unconsciousness to suddenly come out and up to the surface. And it was just terrible. And it made me incredibly frustrated. And it wasn't until I realized that what I was doing was I was paying attention to the internal paparazzi that does not deserve my attention. So what can we do instead? Instead of becoming super aware and then trying to individually go about taking out all this stuff, or even doing Ho'oponopono prayers, which are incredibly powerful, and I'm not trying to say not to do that. If you want to just sit still in the space, recognize and observe the thoughts instead of engaging with them, and telling the spirit inside of you, I'm sorry, please forgive me for whatever it is that is going on inside my mind right now. Is trying to take my attention away and steal my energy with all of these thoughts of negativity, loss, fear, worry, doubt, insecurity, whatever the case may be. I clean and clear it out and replace it with divine love, divine peace, and harmony. Thank you, I love you. Want to do that? That's fine. That's awesome. It's a great way to do it. You're not engaging individually with each one of those thoughts. But either way, here's something else that will help you. Instead of being the engager with the thoughts, become the observer of them. Because being the observer of our thoughts actually leads to freedom. The Kabbalion teaches that the universe is mental and that everything that is thought about consciously is given power to create. Again, this is why we observe the thoughts instead of engaging with them. Because not every thought deserves to have our attention, especially if it's something that is attached to fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, negativity of any kind. By observing our thoughts instead of engaging with them, we can experience the freedom that comes when they release and then move out of our consciousness. There's another spiritual reference that makes all of this make a lot more sense and actually gives us a blueprint for how to go about staying in a more actively engaged, positive, and loving mindset place. It's a verse found in Philippians 4:8, which says, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. That makes it pretty clear that what this verse is talking about is, of all the exercise we're going to do throughout the day, our mental exercise, our mental diet, what we are choosing to think about, what we are choosing to put our mental focus and attention on, that's what is given power. So whatever it is that you're choosing to focus on, especially when all of a sudden negativity, doubt, worry, fear, things that have been stuff that maybe you've been trying to work through or try to overcome, and the opposite of that comes into your consciousness and shows itself to you over and over and over again. Instead of engaging with it, observe it. And then what you choose to consciously think, let it be what is true, what is honorable, what is just, what is pure, what is love and lovely. Think consciously only on these things. Pay attention to your conscious thoughts. Think about only which serves your highest good. Neville Goddard talks about this in several of his books when he talks about having a mental diet and a controlled imagination. Because what it is that we entertain in our imagination is what it is we're giving creative power to. And so as those flashes of the negative mental paparazzi show up, if you engage in that, you're actually giving it creative power, which is something that none of us want to do. So instead of engaging with it, just observe it. And in the observation of it, it can go away because you haven't given it any power to operate from anymore. By consciously choosing what thoughts we choose to engage with, we more easily remove all of these subconscious and unconscious negative beliefs, negative thoughts that fly up out of nowhere without really having to put forth any effort of trying to copyright or copy edit our individual thought patterns. And then what ends up happening is the mental paparazzi move on down the road because there's nothing for them to engage with. So if you've enjoyed this video, if this has given you a piece of wisdom, which I really believe it has, to improve your life, I hope that you will do a couple things for me. First, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed already, please come and join what's going on here in this channel. I have content for you each and every weekday that will bless you. And I respond to all of the comments that are made here. If I said anything here that really stood out to you, please drop it in the comments below. Let me know what it is that was your big takeaway from this video. And if you want more from me, once again, visit my site, growthfarming.com. I appreciate you, I love you, and I'll see you again soon.